Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the 66th episode of the Supernova Show. And I am your host, Colton Roberts. And yeah, this is going to be a good show today. We're going to talk Miss Marvel episode 5. We're going to do some Ask a Contender. And then we're going to go into some of the greatest plot twists in entertainment history. But I've got Mr. Robert Kastner with me. Hey, Robert.
There's a tail in my face.
Ooh.
Not typical, but it happened this time.
It's like sometimes that's. Never mind. I'm gonna be.
No, yikes!
Yeah.
Supernova Show after dark.
Yeah, we'll go. I gotta remember. One day my kids may watch this.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
maybe they won't be kids anymore.
That's true. Hey, proud of you, boys. All three of you.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, Ezra, this is what your dad used to look like when he was young. By the time you're old enough to watch YouTube, I'm probably like you have probably aged me significantly. So.
Well, who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe you can get one of those renderings done, like a
it's like either
police sketch technology.
Him or the world has aged me. Stressful that is.
But
yeah. So how have you been?
Pretty good. We had the long weekend because it was the 4th of July on Monday. It was hilarious. People, not to be an old crotchety man, but there were people who were shooting off fireworks after midnight on Monday. And then people had work the next day. But had a fun weekend. Stayed with family, watched fireworks, did that kind of stuff. Had important matches that have come up. So studied for those. It's been pretty good. It's been pretty nice. Even though the work week felt longer than a normal work week, even though it was shorter. I don't like that, but it's done.
Yeah, for a week where it was shorter, but it was a lot more overwhelming than
yeah, some really weird news things had happened, capped off really by the unfortunate, untimely death of James Caan, which stinks. I saw that yesterday, and I was like, what? Of all the old living people from The Godfather, James Caan would have been lower on the list who I thought would die first.
Yeah, it's a mess. It definitely is. But yeah, it's been quite the week, but I'm glad you're doing well. I know we gotta kind of make this a little fast.
I have a little bit more space of time, so if you want to talk a little bit more, that's fine.
Okay, good deal. Awesome. Yeah. This week has been good. All things considered, yeah, can't really complain. In North Carolina, you can't have the big, huge fireworks without going out of state. It's illegal to sell them here in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So people that I knew that are not named Colton Roberts went and bought some in Virginia and did that, which Virginia is not the best fireworks either, but at least it was fun. My kids enjoyed themselves, and it wasn't my money. So
of course not. I remember being a kid and vacationing in Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, and I remember shooting off fireworks on the beach.
Yeah,
it was fun. That was a good time. Like those little ones, they're the ones that kind of were shaped like tanks that had little firecrackers on it, and then it would spray out in all directions. We had a couple of those, and then you doing sparklers and other stuff on the beach was really fun when you were a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, we didn't let them light any up. There was actually a thing that my brother-in-law, he got, that you lit it, and then it was shaped like a wand, but it just shot a firework out 6 times.
Oh, nice.
So
cool.
Raphael had a lot of fun with that because he was like, I'm not lighting it. So we would light it for him, and he would but Alex was a little too scared to do it himself. He was like, it's going to blow up in my hand. And I'm like, I mean, that is a logical concern, but Raphael did 6 of them, and Alex didn't try it once, but it's okay.
There was a story of a guy who got killed because a firework got set off on his head. I don't know if you saw that story, but that you can use that as a reference point for kids to freak them out enough so that they don't do dangerous, stupid things with live ammunition, basically, which is what fireworks are.
Yeah, so it's always been weird for me. Like, why is it that fireworks are resoundingly like when you think of fireworks, you think of America, New Year's Eve, 4th of July, right?
But you're gonna say that they were invented in China?
Yep, I
Yes.
absolutely was. And they don't even like use them in China.
No,
So,
because it's another thing, and I don't want to sound like an America hater, but we have a thing in this country about ab- absorbing and subsuming things of culture that we think are inherently American when they're not. They're pulled from other cultures. We have groups of people who can't think beyond that and think about histories of things, and fireworks is definitely one of them. It's very strange.
yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a good week. I'm glad your week has gone well. How's your wife doing?
My pregnant wife?
Yes.
Yes, she's doing great. She is, we're in the middle of a second trimester and getting stuff ready. I'm still in this room, but again, that won't be the same in the next few months. But getting stuff out so that we can paint and move this office into that room, and then this will be clear, and then this will be painted and made into a nursery.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So to start the show out,
Are you going to ask me a question?
ask a contender.
Is it a yes or no question?
It is not.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. I just for everybody to know, the reason Colton said before that about hurrying up is that I have a match in a bit. So he'll probably ask me something, but my head's so full of stuff. Like literally this afternoon, I spent reading I don't know, a dozen movie wikis. So my head's a little bit filled with that stuff. So we'll see how this goes.
Okay. How many times did Hugh Jackman play the Wolverine in the X-Men movies?
Okay. All right. 3. All right. 9.
That is correct.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Me counting was the first 3 X-Men, Origins, The Wolverine, First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Logan.
Yep. And so I was hoping that you would say 10 because he played 2 roles in Logan, but that's why I specified him playing Wolverine.
Yeah. Okay.
Not
No, I wouldn't even thought about that. I was just thinking about the movies. But yeah.
Yeah. No. Okay. So that was good. That was correct. Yeah. All right. So next part.
Yes.
Greatest plot twist ever. Whether it be like an entertainment via like movies or TV or books or whatever it is that you got. So I know we talked about it. I think there's 2 that are, in my opinion, that are pretty firm up there.
But, okay, we'll see if they're the ones that I think they are. You go ahead.
Okay, Darth Vader being Luke's father.
Yes, which unfortunately, if you ever watch the movie Pitch Perfect, undercut my thoughts on that a bit because Vader is father in German, which I did not know till I watched that movie, which came out 10 years ago. So when you think about it, it's like, oh, well, it was right there for you. But for stupid people in the 80s who weren't thinking about it, yeah, no, it's obviously that's sort of the greatest one. Or at least when you think about plot twists in entertainment, that's 1 or 2 that people grab onto for sure.
Okay. All right. I personally, I'm not sure if that's probably the one I immediately think of, but it's not the one that I had the most impact on my life. Okay. But I want you talk about one.
Okay, so the other one in modern culture, I think that's the one that comes up the most often is Bruce Willis was dead the whole time in Sixth Sense.
Okay.
is the one that comes up a lot. I mean, I remember, and obviously, if you've watched The Sixth Sense, that has lessened over time. But you cannot, if you could bottle your feeling of surprise the first time you ever watch The Sixth Sense and realize it, and then the good part about that movie is that when you go back, you then try to connect all the dots to figure out what breadcrumbs were left to give you that feeling till the reveal happens. It's incredible. So that's when I think about the two that come up the most often, Darth Vader and Sixth Sense are the ones that come up to me a lot.
Okay. So yeah, I agree with both of those.
Mhm.
And so the one I was thinking was so end of the I can't remember which Planet of the Apes movie it is. It might be the first one where it seems like they're on a different planet the entire time, and then you see the Statue of Liberty.
Yes, that's the end. That's the end of 68. Planet of the Apes. You're right.
Okay. So that
what about the 2001 one where he finds Abraham Lincoln? It's Tim Roth. How about that one? Hilarious.
And so those are all movie ones. I think in TV, Ned Stark's death and the Red Wedding are pretty.
Those are pretty iconic, and I know of them. Well, I knew of them, but I know their impact now, having got to this point in the show. So yeah, obviously that's on there. I'm trying to think of other ones in TV because those are the ones that come to mind, but that's just because that's what I've been watching.
Personally, the one that impacted me the most was Snape killed Dumbledore.
I knew that was going to come up. I mean, because that had internet culture was just so thriving and growing so much at that time that you couldn't go anywhere or you couldn't have a conversation, I don't know, every 4 to 6 hours without somebody saying Snape killed Dumbledore. Is like a fucking joke. So it's like, yeah, that one's huge, and it's literary as well as, you know, cinematic.
I remember I was in the 7th grade and I was on AIM, and I hadn't because I didn't have enough money to buy the book yet.
Yeah.
And someone's away message was the page number and Snape killed Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And I was so mad. Like, so reading it, and then, you know, for 3 years, I think it was between that and Deathly Hallows, you think Snape's just the worst person ever.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have no you're just like, what a fucking prick, man. Just
like the entire time you think like you've not liked him throughout the books because he's been kind of a prick, and then he does this.
Yeah.
And you find out it's not even for a good reason. Like the Horcrux wasn't real and all of that. Like it was such a waste, and Dumbledore died for nothing.
Going back to what we thought, it really has an Empire Strikes Back vibe at the end of 6 because the evil has won. Our greatest bastion of good outside of Harry is gone, and they have nothing to show for it. So you're like, well, what the hell do they do now? But it's weird when you go back and you look at it now because you're like, well, I mean, Snape did save Harry's life in the first book/movie. So it seems crazy that that dude was so enamored with evil that he eventually killed his mentor, the dude who stood up for him the entire time leading up to that point. So you eventually, after that happens, you're like, yeah, no, I get it. He's playing a part. Everything's a part. That's the cool thing about Snape, is that he plays a part right up to the very end, and that's admirable.
Yeah, and that was a thing where, like, then the 7th book kind of explains it better, that Dumbledore thought, oh, well, I'm already dying because I put the ring on and it's killing me. If the ring kills me, then Voldemort will become Master of the Elder Wand. But if Snape kills me with me letting it, then there will be no Master of the Elder Wand. But he didn't know about the Draco disarming him and that being the way that the power transferred.
Or Draco killing him. I mean, he didn't anticipate that Draco would, but there was that possibility as well.
Yeah.
Can I talk about another literary one I just thought of?
Yes.
If you don't care about the author of this book and the books that he made. But Ender's Game, when you come to the end of Ender's Game, if you've ever read it, where Ender's a poor child who's doing these simulations to figure out how to fight an alien race, and then the last battle, spoiler for everybody, he has this huge strategic victory against the alien race in this simulation. He has to sacrifice people and ships, and he takes everything that he's learned through all the different battles that he's gone through this point, and then as it turns out, those simulations are real battles, and he actually led the real humans to the actual victory against this alien race, and he didn't know it till the end, till he realized that he actually, secured that victory in real life, which is really cool. It's a really cool idea to just not have the person realize the impact of what it is they're doing until after everything is concluded. That's a really good literary one. When I remember reading that as a child, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this wasn't to prepare for something. This was the something." That's incredible.
Yeah, I understand that. Like, trying to think of anything else. Like,
The Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
That He Who Shall Not Be Named was Kaiser Soze.
Yeah.
He was there, and you go through the entire string of all the stories he had made up based on just a bunch of goofy shit on the back of Chas Palminteri's wall, which is fun.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's things like Fight Club that they're...
that Tyler Durden's just an alternate personality of Edward Norton's character.
Yep.
That's a good one. Gone Girl is a good one, but the interesting thing is it's a twist in the middle of the movie. And you get to see how we got to that point and then the ramifications of it afterwards within the course of the actual movie too, which is good.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of... I know, like, there's the one that I've been thinking of, like, in comic books, they did the Captain America as a Hydra person.
Yes, which is fun because they brought it in for Endgame. But yeah, that's a fun...
But then it didn't go anywhere in the comic book. Like, the payoff in Endgame is so much better than the payoff in the comic book that, it was just Steve had been turned evil by the Cosmic Cube and Red Skull. And then good Steve came out and he beat up bad Steve. And then we went all back to normal. And I'm just like, this is stupid. But okay.
To a lesser degree, Doctor Strange. That's a fun little twist that you don't see coming until, because you see him go for the point of going to fight Dormammu, and then he dies, and you're like, oh shit, Doctor Strange just died. And then you're like, no, he came back, because you could probably guess what happened, but it's not apparent. So it's a little bit of a twist. It's on a smaller scale. I like that one as well. Ocean's 11 movies are built on twists. You think they're caught, and then at the end, they had a plan within the plan the whole time. So every Ocean's movie has a plot twist of some kind. That's sort of the deal.
Yeah, and then there's things like, man, I had just thought about it. Crap. I guess it wasn't that important if I forgot it already.
In the same vein, Shyamalan, every movie of his has a twist. But I will say the last twist that I had watched in theaters that got me was the Split twist, where we find out that Split is a shared universe with Unbreakable. And my wife hadn't watched Unbreakable when we watched that movie, but in the theaters, I'm like, holy shit, he fucking did it. He made a universe. And my wife was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Bruce Willis, this is his character in Unbreakable. And we didn't know he was going to be in it. He's here at the end. And oh man, and superhero, like basically James McAvoy's a supervillain. And then, it's kind of ruined a bit in Glass, but that has a sort of fun twist as well. So any Shyamalan movie coordinates to that too.
Yeah, and the twist in the plot twist in The Last Airbender was that there was no plot.
Yes. Yeah, that I haven't watched that or like After Earth, but it's like I assume based on sort of the scale of movie they were trying to be that he was like, I can't really have a twist for these. And it's
Yeah.
fine.
Like, yeah. That's
And then there's one again, like with Ocean's 11, there are heist movies where the idea of the twist is baked in. It's not like something necessarily for the audience. It's just like a fun little capper. Like The Sting has it too, where it looks like Robert Redford and Paul Newman get shot at the end, and then they get up after they pull the heist, pull the official con on the bad guy and Robert Shaw, and then they get up and then they sort of explain how it happened. So there are plot twists that aren't necessarily for the benefit of trying to get a gotcha moment. It's just the idea of that's inherent in the purpose of the movie is to have a twist, because without it, it's not much of a movie as opposed to just a linear set of events.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, I had like 3 prepped for the discussion, and then as we came on, I've added more. But yeah, like I think that's good.
I think the first few are the greatest ones, or the ones that are most well known, that hit and impacted the most people. The ones I just sort of threw out there are smaller, but some have personal connection to me. So that's how I sort of think about them.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, yeah, this was a good discussion. Yeah.
If people are watching and obviously there are probably ones I'm just not thinking of that are, for things and movies and TV I probably haven't watched or just aren't coming to me at the moment or coming to Colton. Throw them in the chat or whatever. You can do it.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So, Miss Marvel, episode 5.
It's funny. And I'm just going to make a little fun of you. But
Yep.
when I look at your banner and it says Ms. Marvel, but the S is also capitalized, I think it's multiple sclerosis Marvel. Like MS, like the disease. I'm just saying, in the show title, it's a lowercase s.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it's the
for the purpose of avoiding what I just said. I bet.
Yeah. Also, there's technically, I'm pretty sure there's also supposed to be a period behind it, but I didn't.
It is, yeah, Ms. with a period, yeah.
Yep. So we screwed that up all together.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I didn't know if I wanted to call you out on it or not, but every time I saw it last week, I think, and it made me chuckle. But I was like, we got a lot to get through. But since we have less to get through necessarily, I thought I would highlight it.
Yes. Honestly, I think this was the best episode of the series so far.
In all honesty, I was doing other things while I watched this, so it didn't. I think it's the best acted episode.
Yeah. It made me cry. It's the first Marvel thing. MCU
made
thing.
You
cry. Yeah, the scene where she's back in the past with her great grandmother, and her great grandmother gives her the picture, and then she turns her. Then she goes back to the future, and she gives the picture to her grandma. Yeah. That made me cry.
I will tell you, I have cried through Marvel stuff before.
Yeah, I haven't cried in like an MCU thing. Like
really?
Like I don't know.
You didn't cry like when Killmonger's father died, or they had that moment in the ancestral plane.
No.
Or you didn't cry at Endgame?
Nope.
When Tony Stark died?
Oh, I know. Like,
oh my gosh, guy.
No, and I don't know if that's even like now. I think my think I didn't cry in theaters, but I'm pretty sure I cried when I watched No Way Home by myself at the house.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, No Way Home
the
too.
3
Yeah.
theaters. Yeah, so I'm absolutely, just lied.
Okay. Because
But
I also cried watching Moon Knight. That episode where he goes back through his past is
yeah,
my favorite Marvel TV episode still. And yeah, it's something about fifth episodes or penultimate episodes, I guess, in Marvel TV, where those are the ones that are either designed to go back into the past to make sure that they fill in the gaps of how the history occurred to get to us to this point before the finale, or just their big emotional swings. I'm not really sure what it is.
yeah, like, all the relationship stuff between her, her mom, her grandma, her great-grandma's relationship stuff with her husband and doing
Mhm.
all that stuff, like, ever since, like, having kids, like, in the I I always family stuff always just, like, breaks me. Like,
Yeah, I mean, the thing that makes me cry, bar none, now more than anything, is the end of Coco.
yeah.
Every time I watch him pick up the guitar and sing "Remember Me" to his great grandma, I can't help it. I know it's coming. Like, I think I walked into it on ABC on Freeform the other day, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, babe, I'm just gonna sit here and cry for a minute or two because we're at that part in Coco, and I can't help it. I don't know what it is." Yeah, no, the only parts there's two things that don't work for me in this episode. The villain stuff, I don't care about. I'm like, what did that even do? And the animation when she dies and becomes like a fake skeleton is really bad. Like Clash of the Titans in the 80s bad. And in that time it was endearing because it was the 80s. And this is I don't understand where the budget went. And then so Kamran has powers, right? But
Yeah.
what's the implication? It ends so abruptly that I'm not really even sure what the implication is of that. I don't know what it means. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess maybe the idea is that his surrogate mom's spirit went into him and gave him this power, and he might not be able to control it, and that will lead to a standoff with Kamala when they get back to Jersey. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I agree, like, I don't like the villains in this show. I
They're
like
bad.
yeah. Like, I don't like them, I don't like the, uh, damage control people. I like
You don't like
all
the damage control people?
I mean, I do in the context that
I,
but they're
I mean, you don't like the dude from No Way Home? That dude is hilarious.
yeah, but, like, in the context of the story, I'm just like, if they weren't here, would the story be much different?
No, well, no.
No, and, like, the villain should feel that, like, you should be like, "Hey, if the villain's not here, what's going on?" I did not like the part where, the mom has her, like, necklace or whatever, and it
Oh
just
yeah,
so happened to break in the
yeah.
lightning symbol, and I'm just like, "Ah," I hate stuff like that.
Or the dude from the red dagger. Is
Yeah.
that what it is? Yeah, what does he matter? What was his only matter to give her a red scarf? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's lame. That's super lame.
Yep.
What
Um,
happened in Pakistan? The only thing of importance is that their familial relationships have repaired.
yep.
Right? That's all that it did. Which I guess is important, but I'm just saying it's interesting we had to go 4,000 miles or whatever to figure that out.
Yeah, I agree, but yeah, I really like I'm kinda sad to see that the show is ending next week. That kinda stinks.
I don't know. It's interesting because I don't know what it has to wrap up beyond the Kamran having powers thing, I guess is the one thing. But
Yeah.
it didn't leave us in a place where I'm like, wow, they have so many things to wrap up or whatever. I'm like, do they have anything to wrap up? It's a weird thing. It's a weird sensation.
Yeah, I don't know, like I like the show, but it's like I said last week, it's the one that I'm not getting up on Wednesday and watching it.
Yeah,
I forced myself to watch it this morning.
I watched
because-
it during lunch, but like I said, I was also doing other things. So
Yeah, for the sake of our show, I watched that show.
yeah,
But I'm very glad that I did because I probably would have. It would have been one of those things where I would have been bummed out if I hadn't watched it because of the emotional resonance that the episode had with me.
they also did the trope where the person goes back in time and that person affected their ancestors past and they didn't know it. But I liked how it was done. This time it didn't feel trite. It actually felt sort of earned because we've had so many visions to this point, and it taught people who were unaware about kind of what the partition meant
Yeah,
as well. I like things that have historical context.
yeah, it's so weird. Like whenever they include like real world stuff in MCU stuff, because I'm thinking like in the context of the world, would Britain really be caring about what India's doing over there when they know that there's superpowered people and they have their own superpowered person, Captain
Okay.
Britain?
I guess you're
Like,
right.
in context, they wouldn't really need. It's the same thing. Like I like Iron Man 1, but us knowing that they're in Afghanistan is so weird now in context because they have like they have superheroes that we would not need to go to Afghanistan if we had superheroes.
Well, we didn't have any at the time because Captain America was still in the ice or in hibernation or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, we had
But I mean, like we've had the Eternals. Like the Eternals were there for 5,000 years, just hanging out.
yeah, and like helped evolve us to the point where we had nuclear weapons.
Yep,
And
that is a sad part of the Eternals. I do like that part.
yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I mean, Captain Marvel was out in space doing her thing.
Yeah.
Captain America was doing his thing.
We
And
just didn't have anyone like under like on the bench to be like, come in and take care of the Afghanistan situation. We didn't
Yeah.
have anyone right then, so I get it.
yeah, because I guess Hank Pym had already bugged off as well.
Yeah, he's independent. He's Pimtech. He's a private citizen. So
And probably like in context of that, Hydra being inside Shield probably loved the Afghan war.
yeah, the
because-
chaos of it.
Yeah.
Plus, they made it. Plus, they were probably infiltrated in Start Tech, so they made money from the war more than likely. So
Yeah, they probably did that, and like Mandarin, he was in charge of the Ten Rings, so he was probably just like being cool doing this thing as well, while his son had already diverted.
yeah, everybody who had powers or had influence were on the negative side, who had probably stock in wars continuing, making sure that they were available because they probably got rich and profited off it, or it caused chaos, which is what they're looking for. So yeah.
Yep.
I had a point I was gonna make and then I forgot. Oh, yeah. I mean, so I think that what you're saying is true. The superhero aspect of things sometimes lessens the impact of what normal people are doing, and how that assumes control of a story. But I like to think of it as not everybody knew about this, so these things were all happening clandestinely. Clandestines. Callback. Yeah. So, thus, everybody, like the British government, who are, in my estimation, are the real bad guys of Miss Marvel, but we just don't have a face for it. There's not one face for the British government. It's just the British government are really the enemies here, and yeah, so they're going off and doing their thing because they have no concept of what the superheroes are doing because they don't know about them. That's how I justify it.
Yeah. Yeah. I tend to agree. Like, but it is weird that things like that. And like I know the same arguments were made whenever, oh, Washington's getting attacked by the helicarriers. Why didn't Thor and Iron Man all come in and help Captain America? Like they have to explain in other movies, hey, Tony blew up his suit. Thor's off world with his girlfriend. Like just so that people don't talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
And
wait, where was Hulk during this?
So
on the run, I guess, right? Still a fugitive. I guess that's
no, because at that time he would have been being a therapist for Tony at the end of Iron Man 3.
Yeah, but at the end of Avengers, Tony like puts him in the car and he has a bag. So the idea was that he was like, I always thought it was to drive him back to his life of isolation, but I guess you're right because he was his therapist. What the hell was Bruce Banner doing?
Well, about to be shot because I remember like as the thing is zooming in, the helicarriers are zooming in. They see
Bruce
doing something.
Well, maybe they should have called him. That's in the how it should have ended. The plot is overly complicated for the purpose of taking the helicarriers down. Like, why did you just call the Hulk and run through them and destroy the shit out of them? And it would have been easier, but whatever. Yeah. It's fine. He already destroyed one helicarrier. Why couldn't you destroy 3 more?
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, yeah, we'll talk about something real quick whenever we get off in just a few minutes. So that kind of pertains to what we were just talking about, but I don't want to throw it out there on the internet in case it actually does happen. But yeah, I'm trying to think.
There's nothing really else in the episode. It's great family stuff, and that's really what the heart of Ms. Marvel is at this point. It's family connection and how it connects back to giving her powers. That's what's important. The actual showmanship of the powers and what it means in the grand scale of how she fits in with the Avengers or Young Avengers or whatever, that doesn't matter. This show's just about understanding your roots and how your roots create your identity for who you are now.
Yeah, like I think it's going to be weird because nothing in this show has made it seem like, because they're having the movie called The Marvels, and it's obviously going to be Carol and then
Maria Rambeau.
Yeah. And
or
then
Monica or probably Monica Rambeau. Sorry.
Yeah. Them two, and then Kamala. But as of right now, I don't see a reason for Carol Danvers or Rambeau to even care about her.
Well, they'll probably explain that away in like one sentence.
Yeah.
In the movie. So it's fine.
Yep. Yeah, that was good. Man, 38 minutes. Rock on.
Are we doing any movie trivia stuff?
Oh, I mean, we can.
I know tonight, as of right now, they're doing the IG number 1 contender match.
Yeah, and it's actually probably over.
No, because they probably had an undercard, right?
So, I think it's.
Or is it just that match?
No, there's an undercard.
Yeah, so they're probably in it right now.
Yeah, I assumed from last week, like they made it seem like, hey, we've recorded everything we're going to record, and now we're just going to release just the matches.
Yeah, I don't think this.
And it made it seem like Friday Night Titans wasn't going to be a thing anymore, that the matches would just get released. But prediction, since the match has not started, because I just went to look to see if.
Yeah, they had Whitney and the other guy, whose name I never remember.
Ty Lieberman.
Playing Moose and Rachel Silvestrini. It was card.
So predictions: Robert Parker versus the Barbarian.
Parker all day, every day.
I agree.
That's the match we all want to see.
Yep.
The Smets Parker match is the match we want to see. That's the match we want to see.
Yep. I think Rue is going to come on next week.
Yes.
So
we'll pepper him with questions.
Yeah, we'll talk. But we're also going to talk about Thor next week because you're going to go see it this weekend, right?
Seeing it tomorrow.
I am also seeing it tomorrow. Don't worry, I won't post anything on Facebook or anything.
Yeah, I kind of had something spoiled for me already.
Yeah, I have tried to stay off Twitter purely for that reason. Like, I want to post this thing on Twitter, but I may wait till tomorrow, and we might not get as many views on this video just so I don't get spoiled. Because normally I go see it on a Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
But with work now, it's really hard to do that.
Yeah, it always floors me when people have seen it, like, are gone on a Thursday night, if they're not critics and had seen it earlier in the week. I'm like, how the hell did you do that?
Yeah, we're just because, like, with a newborn, and I'm cutting out caffeine.
Oh, good for you.
Well, yeah, so I'm cutting out caffeine or cutting down on it, and by Lent I want to be completely removed of it, and then I want to start fasting. At least intermittently, like only eat dinner and then not eat breakfast or lunch until Easter. So I want to try and do that. I mean, who knows if it will actually happen, but yeah, like that's what I want to do. But yeah, like I'm so tired because I used to, when I started working my new job, I was having 6 cans of Coke and a cup of coffee every day.
Dang.
That's because I was just sitting in a chair all day, so I was just drinking Coke. And now I've gotten to the point where I'm down to 1 cup of coffee and 2 cans of Coke, and then a half a gallon of water every day. So, and eventually I want to get down to just 2 cans of Coke, and then 1 can of Coke, and then hopefully 0 cans of Coke. But right now it's to the point where I knew, like, me and my wife were watching TV, and this has nothing to do with movie trivia, but it's fine. It's fine. Whatever the banner is, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I would fall all week. I've been like right around 8 o'clock. I've been falling asleep, and if I fall asleep during a movie I actually like, I'm gonna be so mad at myself.
Yes.
So
understandable.
Yeah. So tomorrow I'm going at like 1 p.m. because there's no reason I should be sleeping at that time. So. Yep.
We're going a little bit later in the evening, but because we have plans for earlier in the day. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Despite negative reviews that I've watched / read, I'm going in not thinking about those.
Yeah, I haven't really looked. I've seen that critics, and like I saw someone post online that like it's getting like The Last Jedi levels of heat.
Yeah.
About it, and people are like, we don't want Taika Waititi to do a Star Wars movie, and I'm like, you're insane, shut up. And then I've seen people that were like, this is actually getting better, it's getting similar critic reviews, but it's getting better audience.
Yeah.
And that was the problem with The Last Jedi, is the audience did not like it.
Yeah, it's not like this thing, it seems the opinion has been that he ruined Thor and people are coming out to get him now. I don't think that's entirely the case, but even if this isn't the best thing, there's no way it's bad.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, it's nowhere. It's not going to be worse than Dark World. So
no, there's no way. There's no way anything can be worse than that.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh well. What is your prediction, Parker, as well?
Yes, my prediction is Parker as well.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I hate this. I hate that Rue will probably never get his match.
No.
For the title.
No.
But
he had his one. He's one and done.
Yep. Like, he will probably get his match against like if he comes back to the fan leagues, or when he does. I mean, he'll be
That'll
up.
be fine. We'll welcome him back with open arms.
But yeah, like honestly, and it'll be the same thing. Like I kind of hate that if Parker wins, he'll win and only hold the belt for less than a day before the league's gone.
Go out on top.
Yeah,
People will remember.
I know that's kind of like one of those things where I kind of want Dan to win the singles belt, just because I don't want Marisol to win the belt again and then immediately it be taken from her. And
So
same
you're
thing,
okay with it being taken from Dan?
yeah, because he's had it so many times. And I would say the same thing about Sam. Like because he's had this such a long streak of not losing that it would be okay. Like if she beats Dan, because I assume that will be the number one contender match. She's playing Bateman.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she beats Bateman and then also beats Sam and then beats Dan at Spectacular. Then
she's what then? Second or third best player ever?
Yeah,
probably third for sure.
So,
but then you have to debate between her, Sam, and Dan. Then,
yeah, like so. Last week we had the match, Chance and Travis Fishburne.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah. So that one stink. One, I don't like their name.
I don't remember what it is, honestly.
It's Easy Street.
Oh, that's right.
And in context, I live on Easy Street in real life, and I just saw that and just I was just like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yep, I sure do in real life. And God, I hope over the last 66 episodes, I've never mentioned like this. I know I live in North Carolina. I'm pretty sure I've never mentioned what city I live in, or you will absolutely find out where I live.
So, in the multiplex chat, going again off course, Spence showed a picture because Scott and Rue all live in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And there was a picture of all of them at an axe throwing thing.
Yep. Yeah, I forgot that Spence lived in Charlotte. Like I remember they mentioned it that they were potentially moving to North Carolina, and I was like, oh, cool. Well, I'll talk to you sometime. I've said the same thing about to Rue. I'm like, I will eventually go to Charlotte and see you. Even though Charlotte's only, an amount of time away from me, I still haven't done it. And I will eventually.
And Scott just recently moved there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get your time in the sun. Get your picture taken with people.
Well, I mean, so there might be an event coming up in Asheville that Anthony, Christina, and Rue are going to.
Oh.
If they go to it, then I said I would go and support them. So.
I think I know what kind of event you're talking about.
Yeah. Nope. Wrong chat. But yeah, I will absolutely do that. Yeah, and because that seems legit. Like, and I've talked to my wife about being like, "Ooh, I want to go to Texas to meet Robert," she was like, "All right, that'd be fine. That'd be fun once we get out of all this crap, because there's no way we're putting a baby on a plane during the times that we live in. No. So once all this crap goes away, then we may come venturing south."
Anthony and Christina thought about showing up in Dallas for the same thing, for the same event that you're discussing, but it was during Christina's birthday, so not up for making a trip then, which I understand completely. But everybody's chilling there now, where they are, because Abel has arrived from the Netherlands, so they're all hanging out in the next week or so.
Okay.
So all kinds of fun stuff. Everybody gets together.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I get to hang out with Tyler. Tyler's here, so he's who I see.
Yes.
He's who I have hung out with, like at the expo, where I have all my fun pictures and videos.
Yeah. I don't remember what video it was, but I watched one of you guys the other day, and it made me laugh really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. But I
Is there
guess
anything family related that you want to discuss real quick?
nothing that I can think of. I haven't watched anything since the last show.
Okay.
I'm trying to think.
There was the only thing of consequence, I think. Well, I mean, so there were the fandom round 2 matches, and Brittany beat Kaiser, which was to be expected, and Javi, the rookie, beat Mark Menchaca to get to the semifinals. So my match with Tyler and Scully's match with Coho air this weekend.
Okay.
And then the next ladder match, which is Anyone Can Cook versus Manhattan Project, is this weekend. We're almost through the ladder. And I know that there was a teams match between Pots and Pains, which is your teammate, Ryan Payne and Jeremy Potter, versus Time Shift, which is Kaiser and Tony Durso. And that was to get to a number 1 contender match. So we know, spoiler alert for anybody who hadn't watched that match, Time Shift won, and they're playing Ginyu Force, Payson and David, for the right to play Kumite for the title. Those are sort of the main things, because the Warzone tournament's still happening. They're about in round 4, so they're in the semis there. Fandom tournaments in the semis, ladders, almost at the semifinal level, basically, of the ladder. So everything's sort of spaced out nicely. We're getting close to figuring out who's competing for titles in the next go.
All right. But yeah, it's been a good show. Went a little longer than I thought it was, so that's always good.
Yep.
But yeah,
It tends to happen when we're enjoying the conversation, everyone out there.
Yes. Next week we'll have Miss Marvel episode 6. We'll have Rue on to talk about all things Schmodown, and then we'll talk about Thor 4.
Yep. And if Rue's watched The Boys, he and I will have a non-spoilery discussion, because the Boys ends this week, everybody, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Now I'm running out of current shows to watch, unfortunately.
Yeah. I tend to agree. But
it's
yeah.
Unfortunate. But this Friday was awesome, because the Boys finale and Thor: Love and Thunder. What more could you want from a weekend? You know.
But yep. All righty. Well, that's the show.
That's the show, everybody. Come see us on Facebook. Keep supporting the show. Everybody out there, keep tipping your virtual waitresses.
All right.